Mauryan empires. Judicial and police departments of Mauryan Empire. The king was the head of the judicial administration and constituted the highest appellate court in the realm. In villages and towns, cases were settled by the Grama Varadha and Nagara Vyaradha Mahamatra respectively. Rajukas were equal to modern district magistrates. Kautilya mentions the existence of both civil and criminal courts. Dharmasthya, like modern civil court, and Kantaka Shodhana, like modern criminal court. There were also subordinate courts at the provincial capitals and districts under Amatyas. Different kinds of punishment such as fines, imprisonment, mutilation, and death were given to the offenders. Torture was employed to extract the truth. Police stations were found in all principal centers. Both Kautilya and Ashokan edicts mention about jails and jail officials. The Dhamma Mahamatras were asked by Ashoka to take steps against unjust imprisonment. Remission of sentences has also been mentioned in Ashoka's inscriptions. The facts to be known. Both Kautilya and Megasthenes provide knowledge about the system of municipal administration. Ardhashastra contains a full chapter on the rule of Nagarika or city superintendent. His chief duty was to maintain law and order. Megasthenes refers to the 6 committees of 5 members each to look after the administration of Pataliputra. These committees looked after industries, foreigners, registration of birth and deaths, trade, manufacture and sales of goods, collection of sales tax. The census of Mauryan Empire. The census was regular during the Mauryan period. The village officials were to number the people along with the other details like their caste and occupation. They were also to count the animals in each house. The census in the towns was taken by municipal officials to track the movement of population, both foreign and indigenous. The data collected were checked by the spies. The census was a permanent feature in the Mauryan administration. Provincial and local administration of Mauryan Empire. The Mauryan Empire at the time of Ashoka was divided into 4 provinces with their capitals at Takshila, Ujjain, Suvarnagiri and Kalinga. The provincial governors were mostly appointed from the members of royal family known as Kumar Mahamatras and were responsible for the maintenance of law and order and collection of taxes for the empire. The district administration was under the charge of Rajukas, revenue collection, Sthaniks, district officer and Yukta, tax collector. Village administration was in all the hands of Gramini and his official superior was called as Gopa, who was in charge of 10 or 15 villages. Economy of Mauryan Empire. The Mauryan economy was an expanding economy and the state took a keen interest in consolidating and promoting its economic gains. State not only controlled and coordinated the activities of the peasant, manufacturers and traders, but also directly participated in the production and exchange of different commodities. The state was very strictly regulated the economic activities. The economy of northern India during the Mauryan times was predominantly agrarian. There were 2 distinct categories of land. Rashtra land, practically belonging to the cultivator, and Sita land, settled as well as formed directly under the crown supervision. Taxes on the former type of land were 1/6 of the harvest. The peasants also paid Pindakara, which was collected from villages as group. Some of the villages were marked for performing drudgery for the state in the Ilayo of taxes. Some villages with pastoral basis paid taxes in the form of cattle and dairy products. The Mauryan government also provided irrigation facilities to the peasantry. The Ardhashastra refers to a water tax which was regularly collected wherever the state assisted in providing irrigation. One of Chandragupta's governors, Pushyagupta, was responsible for building a dam across a river near Girnar in western India, resulting in famous Sudarshan Lake to supply water for irrigation. Cattle breeding in the peasant society had become an adjunct of agriculture, but there were still certain pockets which pursued pastoral economy. Herds were maintained not only on the state but also by wealthy individuals. Fishing and hunting were practiced as a means to livelihood, especially by the tribes, and the practitioners of these occupations had to pay 1/10 of their catch to the royal storehouse. Ashoka stopped the indiscriminate killing of animals and introduced many measures for the welfare of people who practiced it. Under the Mauryas, the most important industry was that of mining and metallurgy, and the state had a monopoly over it, and state controlled everything from processing to refining. The major metals mentioned as being under state control included gold, silver, copper, iron, tin, bitumen, and lead. The state sold out most of these metals to the traders, the artisans, the goldsmiths, and the individual manufacturers. But the state had the monopoly in manufacturing of arms, certain type of implements, and ships. The craftsmen who were employed for this purpose were given wages. The state also had a monopoly in the production of salt. Some of the other important industries of the period were textile manufacturing, carpentry, pottery, stone cutting, lapidary, work in ivory and bone. Textile industry had reached high level of specialization and was get reference of fine cotton clothes, woolen blankets, and linen dukala fabrics. Mathura, Kalinga, Vanga, Vatsa, and Mahisa were important centers of textile. Art and architecture of Mauryan Empire. The Mauryans constituted a notable epoch in the field of art and architecture and introduced stone and other durable raw material for architecture and sculpture. Some references of large walls at Rajgriha belonging to the 6th century BC have been found, but they are in the nature of an exception. In the early Buddhist texts, there are many references to different types of buildings of the Mauryan period, but unfortunately, none of them has survived. The latest artistic record of the Mauryan period are the Ashokan inscriptions. The archaeological evidence suggests that in the pre-Mauryan period, Indian architects worked in the wood, but during the Mauryan period, they started experimenting with rock-cut architecture. The remains of the place at Pataliputra, first in 1914 to 1915 and then again in 1951, were very fragmentary, but they definitely indicate the presence of pillared hall as a part of a large building complexes. The floor and the roof of the hall were made of timber. The round and tapering pillared halls were made of Chunar sandstone. The similarities between this place at Pataliputra and the Achaemenid places at Persia are too close. However, the rise of timber for the construction of floor and roof was totally indigenous tradition. Both Megasthenes and Fahian have praised the beauty of this place. The rock-cut architecture and stupa architecture also started with the Mauryans. The earliest specimens of the rock-cut architecture of the Mauryan period are the 3 caves found in the Barabar cut out of the hard granite. These are Lomas Rishi Cave, Karna Chopara, Sudama, and Vishwakarma Cave. The most important architectural point of view is Sudama. It has several chambers. The outer chamber is rectangular with a valuted roof, while the inner chambers are circular with a hemispherical domed roof. The caves in Nagarjuna Hills were carved but on the same pattern. The best among these is the Gopika cave. All these caves are worked by the typical Mauryan architectural characteristics of a bright polish shining from their roof as well as walls. Ashoka built a number of stupas throughout his empire, but majority of them were destroyed during foreign invasions. The best example is the famous Sanchi stupa with massive dimensions. It was originally built with bricks but later enlarged after the time of Ashoka. Of the stupas, the Sanchi stupa and the Barhut stupa were most important. Both were made of bricks. Both stupas have a hemispherical dome placed on a low circular wall, which is further crowned by a parasol. The structures are surrounded by a passage of circumvallation fenced off by a railing wall. The animal capital pillars of Ashokan period are found in very large numbers. These were generally made of single block of stone. The accuracy in proportions and carving make it very clear that these were manufactured by very mature and sophisticated artists. Each pillar consists of two parts, the shaft and the capital. The shaft is circular and slightly tapering. The average height of 50 feet, 50 tons in weight, and the circumference 50 inches. The capital was divided in three parts: the invested lotus, a locust, and the crowning animals. The crowning animals include elephant, lion, and bull. The figure of a bull at Ramaparva in Bihar has been appreciated for its naturalness and for the four lions set back to back on the Samad pillar for its execution. From the stylistic point of view, the Bakhira pillar seems to represent the initial attempt, while the Sarnath pillar the culmination. However, Vincent Smith has argued that the Sarnath lion capital may have been the work of faring artist, because a century later, when the same type of sculpture was attempted on the south gateway at Sanchi, is failed. Besides, the Achaemenian pillars are to some extent similar to these pillars, but on deep observation, major differences can be found between them. The Achaemenian pillars are made of separate pieces of stone, while the Mauryan pillars are monolithic. Achaemenian pillars have a base, while the Mauryan pillars have no ground base. The symbolism in the Mauryan capital is purely Indian, and the lustrous polish is a Mauryan speciality. The architecture of the Mauryan period also includes the carving of an elephant on the rock at Dhauli and the over-life-sized of figures of Yakshas and Yakshini from Patna. The figure of elephant has no artistic sense, but it draws the attention of the people to the inscription nearby. The most conspicuous feature of the Yaksha and Yakshini figures is the contrast between the fully rounded and well-modeled front and almost flat surface at the back. Terracotta objects of various shapes and sizes have been found at many Mauryan sites from Patliputra to Takshashila. These objects include idols, toys, dice, beads, and ornaments. On some of them, the influence of Hellenic art is clearly visible. A continuation of the tradition of making Mother Goddess in clay, which goes back to the proto-historic period, is revealed by the discovery of these subjects at Mauryan levels. However, they have a well-defined shape and a clear ornamentation. Some of them were made even by using molds. Mauryan art and architecture develops some indigenous character, but it cannot be neglected that the Mauryan period have been influenced by trade and cultural relations with Iran and the Greco-Roman world. In such a situation, it was quite natural that the more developed artistic and architectural touching of Iran and the Roman world would have flowed towards India and was absorbed and assimilated by the people. However, the Mauryan art was a parenthesis in the development of the indigenous art of India. Causes of decline of Mauryan Empire. The causes for the decline of the Mauryan Empire have been widely debated by scholars. The traditional approach attributes the decline to Ashoka's policies and his weak successors. Another approach holds the inadequate political and economical institutions to sustain such as vast empire. Ashoka's pro-Buddhist policies antagonized the Brahmins who brought about a revolution led by Pushyamitra Sangha, but Ashoka never acted against Brahmins. Ashoka's policy of non-violence reduced the fighting spirit of his army was another charge against him. But Ashoka had never slackened his control over his empire despite following a pacifist policy. Therefore, solely blaming Ashoka for the decline of the Mauryan Empire may not be correct because Ashoka was more a pragmatist than an idealist. There are multiple causes for the decline of the Mauryan Empire such as weak successors, partition of empire, and administration abuses after Ashoka's reign. The combination of these factors speeded up the breakup of the Mauryan Empire and facilitated Pushyamitra Sangha to drive away the Mauryan power and establish the Sangha dynasty. With this, the Mauryan Empire ends.